right, good morning, everybody. I am here, back at it at my table with a coffee and my gouache set up. I might need to refill some of these along the way. But good morning. Honestly, I don't have a big plan for today. I just wanted to make some art and bring you along with me. There have been a lot of requests for more detail on how I use gouache paint. And so I was actually thinking this would be a really good video to do some of that detail. I've been doing a lot of stuff lately, but it's not necessarily been 100% ready for prime time, although I did like that was a remnant paint situation and I love the way that turned out. So I was just gonna find a spread and kind of talk through what I'm doing. There are some other things that have been rolling around in my head. Most notably, it is the holiday season. So I thought it would be fun also to do a little bit of a kind of a talk on ways to use your art in the holiday season. And I'll weave that into today's conversation. But as we get started, I think I'm just gonna make a kind of a holiday inspired spread. And also, I was thinking I might go through a handful of ideas of how to use your art in the holiday season, because that is a fun thing to do. So I have not necessarily done everything that I'm going to talk about today, but I would like to. And hopefully some of it will be of interest. Oh, I gotta wet my palette. All right, so for those beginners who are really new to this all, I have this little kind of fishing tackle box that keeps my paints mostly pretty well hydrated. I've had it for a long time. Some people say they get smelly. I feel like it did get smelly at one point, but I just kept going and it's not smelly anymore. So I don't know what the secret there is, except for just sheer persistence. So this basically replicates mostly paint right out of the tube. Sometimes I'm adding, like that one needs some water and I'll probably mix it up with a toothpick. And what I do is I take the amount that I want and I put it over here in my mixing tray. So you can see, this is my little palette. I rarely clean it and I'm okay with that. I like when things bleed together. I think it makes for interesting color mixes. And I don't love paint out of the tube, generally speaking. I just find that I like to dirty things up a little bit and it just makes them a little bit more muted, which is more along the lines of what I like. All right, so I'm just gonna make loose and sketchy marks in this art journal. And it's gonna be similar to the one that I just showed you guys. Sometimes I pick almost like a shape or a theme and kind of make it repetitively throughout, trying to manage things so that they're not all vertical or horizontal. And I'm going with a pretty vibrant red. And you know what? I'm gonna make this two pages. I'm gonna make it a 2-page spread just because I feel like it. And you'll see I'm not being particularly precise here. And the main thing is that I'm using pretty thick paint. And I think I'm doing that because this is not a wash. I'm not trying to do a background. I'm effectively making kind of one of my wild and wacky patterns, but as a spread that is honestly just pleasing to me. And I find it really interesting that my most popular video, which I can link to down in the comments and stuff, is really, I was trying to figure out, like, why is it that video is successful? What is it that people are looking for in that video, and what is it that was so attractive about it? And I think it's a couple things. I think there is this hunger which is very American and very normal, to not just make art for art's sake, but to make art so that you can do something with it. And I also, of course, want to make something out of my art, not just the art for art's sake. But I don't know, I feel like it's okay to do an activity like this just because it gives you joy. I've always said that I feel like my experience of art making is really very tied to meditation. Like, I just feel I'm going for kind of a dark one here, but I'm gonna try to do several versions of green just to give myself some variation in value on this page. But I'm gonna start with this, and I'm gonna do similar lines just because I'm finding it very pleasing to do. It's almost like a maze. It's almost like an animal print, but in holiday colors. Yeah, so sorry, I guess this is a rambling story, but so I feel like there's this desire to make art that you can somehow then digitize and put up on Etsy, or create patterns that then become textiles that you can create a shop on Spoonflower, or what's the one that I just checked out? I don't know. You know what I mean? And I love that, and I'm 100% going to be doing that myself. But I also find exercises like this one, where it's just me with my dog snoring away on the bed next to me. Thank God my puppy is starting to mellow. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when she mellows, she gets tummy troubles. Ooh, it's terrible. But just doing this gives me joy. And this may go nowhere, this particular pattern. But it also it could be something that I replicate by drawing my own custom wrapping paper. I've seen friends do this where they get a giant butcher block of that butcher's paper, not a butcher block, a roll of that butcher block paper, and create their own wrapping paper, which I think is a really cool idea. And so fun. And I think if you do that, you may want to use gouache or acrylic gouache. Sorry, you may want to use acrylic or acrylic gouache, just because then the paper won't get dirty and re-wet or whatever. Although it's probably fine. It's not like you're going to be showering your Christmas gifts with water, so gouache is probably fine when it dries. But you don't have to take this and do anything with it, although it's nice to know that it's a possibility if you'd like to. I guess I don't know. I do the idea, especially of creating things for other people. And there are lots of ways you can do that, especially in the holiday season. So everything from, I'll give you a little rundown of things I've done in the past too, where I've taken a pattern like this and I've put it on a postcard and sent it as a holiday card. You can do smaller things that would be more like gift labels. You could make it as part of a design that you then put on your photo holiday card as an embellishment. You could take a design like this and use it as a bookmark that you give to the folks on your list that you're giving books to. And that would be actually a super lovely additional piece. You could do place cards at your holiday meal and use this kind of embellishment, or do something more representational like a wreath. And you could, there's just so many ways you could do things with your art during this time of year. But also, just to go back to my original point, you could also just do this because it gives you joy and peace. So that's really something to think about. And you might be looking at this and saying, oh boy, where is she going with this? The answer is, I don't know. But doing this kind of play is exactly what allows me, I think, to discover something new, work with my brushes and my paints in a different way. and potentially be ready for something else a little later on. All right, for those, sorry, I keep coming back to this. For those of you who are really new to gouache, I do recommend doing something like this, even just to get to know the consistency of your paints. So like I was saying, this is freshly squeezed out paint. This is relatively thick. I'm just using really the consistency, just a tiny bit of water just to make it a little bit more runny. And then I'm laying it down very thickly onto this pattern. If I wanted to do let's do a holiday card actually. I'm gonna put this over to dry because before I do another layer, see how there's some glare on there? I have all my lights on right now, even though it's 9 a.m. in the morning. It's 8:30 in the morning because we're about to get snow here in Brooklyn. So I know that this is all wet. So before I start to layer up and do more on top of this base, I'm gonna let this page dry completely. And so while I'm doing that, I am going to pull out, I have these little boxes of Hahnemuhle papers. This is actually one that I ended up doing something else with. I used one of the cards that it comes with, but this was you might have seen my short. I have done a number of these cards during jury duty, and I just love them. They give me so much joy. This was a really fun Posca project, which I can talk about another time. But these boxes, which I love to design and do fun things with, they come with these wonderful blank watercolor cards. And so I'm going to do a couple of examples that will hopefully help people who are truly new to gouache and just want to get a few tips on how to put them into action. So I'm going to make a few cards and we'll go from there. I'm going to start with a wash because I feel like that's actually a really good way to demonstrate some of the various properties. So this one, I'm just gonna do it's very watery. Note that I put a ton of water. There's like a puddle here in I hope you can see that. There's like a puddle here in I'm just checking. Yep, you can see it. All right, so I did tons and tons of water. And the idea is that when I go over this, I'm gonna cover the whole thing. I can even do more water because I want this to be really almost like watercolor. So I'm really covering the entire card. And the idea is that once this dries, I can go over it with thicker layers to achieve whatever look I would like to achieve. All right, that's too much paint. Again, I'm gonna add some water. And luckily my desk is very easy to clean, so it's okay if I get a little paint on the ground. And honestly, when I send this to my friends and family, if there's a little paint on the back, they're gonna like it because they'll know it's homemade and done with so much love. All right, so that is, you can see it's curving, that's okay. The buckling's no big deal. We're gonna let that dry. That is the first layer. Let's do another one that is with that red. And again, I'm gonna add a lot of water in that corner and just really turn this into it's almost like watercolor. It's so thin. And this one, it's even turning kind of pink, although there are other colors on my palette that are turning that red from the vibrant red to more of a pink color. And you can see I'm not really thinking about brush strokes. I'm not thinking about direction. This is a wash. So this is step one. And as I was saying before, it is crucial that when you do this, depending on what the effect is that you're looking for, but for me, if I'm going to build a pattern or something that I would like some hard edges on, then I am going to let that dry 100% before I touch it and do anything else with it. Okay. So then we take a cup of coffee and have a sip of it. All right. So let's see, this one still wet. Okay, I am back. Things are drying. And I think I'm okay with the fact that I got these little bleeds. That's because I used so much water and that's still drying, you can tell. But I don't mind that because I'm gonna go over it. If that bothered me right now, I could do another layer and effectively cover that up. But I'm not going to because this is just a fun holiday card that I think I'm going to end up sending to a friend. And I'm not that bothered by the fact that it's not perfect. In fact, I think it will add a little bit of richness and dimension when I am done. I think that it's funny. I do feel like there's a school of gouache that is very precise, maybe for illustrators and others, but I am much of more in the loose and sketchy camp. Just what I prefer to do myself. I appreciate what others are doing, but for me, this is like a fun and very loose and sketchy and enjoyable activity. All right, so I am going to create a little bit of a darker green, and that's a nice color. Oh wow, I hope you guys can see that. Can you? Yes, you can. Yay. And I'm gonna start working on a Christmas tree, and I'm probably gonna end up turning it into a little bit of a landscape behind it, but certainly the Christmas tree will be the star of the show. And you can see I'm going in a little bit heavier on the paints. There is some water. You can see I just mixed in some of this darker green to the lighter green that I had on my palette already from earlier. And I am just roughing in a little tree. And I might make it 2 trees, I haven't decided. Might just be 1. And I am just getting started. Just doing, it doesn't have to be perfect. And doing some wacky stuff there. And the idea that I have is that I am going to turn this into quite a joyful situation. And then I'll go over it with some brights to make it into a real decorated Christmas tree. And I'm probably going to go over the back to create almost a night scene, maybe. Let's see how this goes. I like the idea of a night scene, which would make the snow somewhat blue. So I'll go in with a little bit of blue. And we'll make the snow really lovely. So the red now is acting as, that I first started with, is really acting as a ground, which you guys may have seen in one of my previous videos. I like to do an orange or a red ground because I think it adds warmth to an overall scene. And I think this is going to be like that. So going in pretty thickly with the light blue / white, partly because I want to cover the background, and partly because I think it makes a nice kind of snow texture. And I'm just going in and trying to add a little bit of snow. I may go in on the leaves with some of this later, but first I want those leaves to dry. Really trying to respect the layering that I want to see with the gouache. All right, so then if I'm going in with the darker, I gotta clean my brush and dab it on the paper towel so that it's really clean. And then I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna pull some darker blue. This is ultramarine, and I got a nice big clump of it on there. And I'm gonna put it over here in my purple section of my mixing tray. I'm even gonna add a tiny bit of this very dark. People come down in very different camps on whether to use black or not. And I do mix it in if I'm trying to get a really dark, like this is meant to be more of an, almost like an indanthron style blue. And I'm going a little thick, but that's okay. I'm adding some water to thin it out because I am going to be doing the background of the whole piece here. I guess I could do some mountains, but I think I'm just going to go in and do this. It's going to be a dark night just because that's my mood right now. I feel like it. I'm getting really close to that edge of the snow, but not going into it. I mixed up enough that I can make as much as I can. Make it work. The idea with going super dark for me is that accomplishes a couple things. One is it's going to create good contrast. And two, I can put in some stars later, and that's going to be really nice. So that's the vision. We'll see. Will it come out? I don't know. I don't know, guys. But I'm glad you're along for the ride, and I hope you're enjoying yourselves. One of the things that I love about doing these postcards is that it's so low stakes. If it doesn't work out, guess what? I can actually paint over it, A, or B, just chuck it. It's not like I've destroyed a spread in my sketchbook. Although I would say that you should aim to destroy some of the spreads in your sketchbooks. If you don't destroy a spread or two, it means you're not trying. You're not taking risks. And I think that's really important. All right, let's see here. I think it's working. Is it coming together? I realize I've got it upside down for you all, but that's actually helpful for me to control the paint and the water and get everything organized. All right, so I like to do some sky holes just because I think it adds to the richness. And although I am covering a lot of the red, I am leaving some on the edges to shine through because I think that also adds some nice warmth to the overall picture. All right, there's a little bit more of a sky hole. I think this is maybe this is on the golf course. I'm not a golfer, but I lived growing up close to a golf course, and it was a great place to walk our dogs and take walks in the winter. And there were some great trees there, just a stand of trees that was really lovely. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry, which means I'm gonna go to my next one, and I'll put this to the side. I don't know if you can see it while I'm working on the other one. Oh, you can. Good. Okay. So let's pull up this one. This one I'm going to do more of an abstract, just a really simple pattern because I just enjoy that. So I'm going to go back to my vibrant red. It's going to be a symphony of reds and greens. And I'm probably going to just do one of my usual. I like to use the shape of the brush, whatever the brush is. It may be a flat brush, it might be a round brush, but it's almost like you're stamping the paint onto your page. And this is middle weight, I would say, thickness of paint. I added some water, but it's still pretty, it's definitely not a wash. You can see that it's sitting on top of the wash that we had done before and dried completely. So that's a good measure. All right, and then I like to do some little ones. And then I think I'm good. Should I do one more? Let's do one more here. Sorry if there's glare. The light today is just so poor outside. Usually I get a lot of light through my window, but today is not that day. So that's the way it is. All right, so if I went very bright, sometimes one of the things I like about the holiday season is that red and green are complementary colors, and so you really can do some interesting work with just a very limited color palette. But I do like to vary the value. So you can see I'm adding a little white. I could also add yellow to lighten up this green, but I'm turning it into like a minty green color, which I think is going to add some nice contrast to the deep dark red. I'm being a tiny bit impatient and I'm going for it even though the red's not dry. I just want to get that first base layer down. This is something you're going to have to explore at your own risk. I'm okay with things running. If you want it to be more precise, you might want to wait and let things dry in between. But there's that, okay. And then, you know, what's gonna be nice is going in with some contrasting whites and stuff like that. So I'm doing, these will be small. And Again, thicker than the bottom, but not the thickest. I definitely added some white. All right, I'm gonna do a little, I've been playing with jelly plates. This was actually a texture thing that I really like the way it turned out. Anyway, I'm gonna use the back of it though for this, just so that I am not going over, but I do wanna get the edges. So I'm gonna do another round of this mint color down on the bottom before I switch back to the other one and try something different. So guys, in the comments, please let me know how you are using your art for the holiday season. Are you making gift cards? Are you making tags? Are you making bookmarks? Your own wrapping paper? Maybe it's the cookies. Maybe you are a cookie artist, and that is awesome, because cookies are really delicious and so important to the holiday season. All right, so we're cooking with gas here. Look at this. These are nice. Okay, while those are drying, I am going to do a little something more. I'm gonna do a flower arrangement that looks interesting. This is the counter. Again, I'm adding a lot of water. I didn't even pick up any new paint in this. This is a buff titanium style color that is basically a mix of neutrals. And then for the upper bits, I actually think I will go with a dark, like a brownish, maybe. Yeah. This paint needs a little wake up call. Let's do that. We're gonna add a little water because it's gotten crusty down there. I don't use this brown that much. So we just want to give it a little zhuzh. Adding some water. Now in my, you can see in my palette, I picked a dark section and I'm going over it because I want this to be a dark background. That's my vision. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, that works. Okay. So I'm gonna just take it right up to that line. I hope my head's not in this picture, but if it is, sorry. What can I tell you? All right. So here we go. Watch my fingers. Sometimes I don't even mind a little bit of that scratchy leftover. I think it's cool. All right. I know this looks a little dull, especially compared to everything I've done so far. But believe it or not, this will actually be a really nice ground for the vibrant flowers that I am imagining coming towards me. All right. So I think I can move that for a second. And I'm going to clean my brush. I'm dabbing it on my paper towel, as you can see here. I'm letting these three dry. 1, 2, and 3. This one's making good progress. And I'll come back to decorate that tree. And in the meantime, because I have walked the dog and taken some breaks, and I'm just making sure this is actually, yes it is actually filming. I'm gonna go back to my book and do something else in here. I think I might go with that minty color again. I've gotta perk this up. This green is really struggling. Oops, and look what I just did. I just completely dumped on there. But you know what? That's okay, I don't mind. That's what we're here to do. All right, come on, rehydrate, my dear. Rehydrate. All right, now what I wanna do with this though is I would like very much to dampen that color down a little. You'll find if you really get into gouache that you can never have too much white. Like, it's just such a standard mixing situation. Like, it's just crazy. I'm actually gonna put some in here that I can just use today. I wanna be a little careful to protect the white that's in my palette here. It always gets dirty, but I am trying to keep it relatively clean. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Good. Okay. Because it's so easy to get the whites like super dirty. All right. Obviously that white is also a little crusty, but I like this direction. So I'm gonna put that down. Like actually just that. That's a good minty color. All right. This brush is getting a little, you know what? I'm actually going to go into the next well because I can. And you'll see, probably going to use over the course of all three of these things, all of this color that I'm mixing up. So I'm not worried about the fact that my white mixing wells are currently minty, because I will in time use them. And if they don't, then I can just wipe them out with a paper towel. No big deal. So lots of options here. And that's good. Okay. So that's great. I could pull even a little more green in. All right, let's see. Let's see how this looks when I add this in. Now I'm gonna do more like circular dots. Not perfect, but overlapping. My vision is that this will be, now things were touching, but now they can actually overlap as I go lighter and lighter. And that's a dot that fell from this mixing exercise, and that's okay too. I don't mind. Again, this is just for my own experiment. I could go back and do a postcard if I like the way this is turning out. Honestly, I am liking the way it's turning out, but partly because it's so fun to do. So I think we're making good progress here. That's awesome. That contrast on the red is just mwah, fantastic. And yeah. All right, I think this is good. I need something off the edge here. And down the middle. Okay. I should have held on to that and not cleaned the brush, because I can use that paint now on some of my other things. I like this consistency. I think people always say, how do I manage consistency? What do I do? I think you have to figure out what your preference is. What do you enjoy? And to do that, you really need to honestly start a sketchbook and just try to make art a little bit every day. And just really look for what is it that you like? I don't know if you guys have tried doing value exercises where you start with one color, like start with black or dark blue, and you add a little bit of white and you make a gradient across a page. You can do that also with paint consistency. And that's something that is very standard for people when they're learning watercolor, but you can do that with gouache as well. And it just gives you a sense of how the paint reacts as you add and take away from it. Yeah, I do not like that pink. I am covering that bad boy up before it's even dry. Which is fine. It's okay to have a hint of it, but I did not like it. It did not look seasonal. It looked not good. Yeah, and it's running. It's okay. I'm going to let this dry now, and I'll go back over. No problem. All right. So, let's see. Oopsies. All right, I've got a flower arrangement. I've got a tree that's unfinished because I want to decorate it, but I'm not quite sure how. Maybe I'll just go in with some white. That yellow, as if it's like a warm light. Let's see here. Let's see here. And then I'll have to flatten these out because they are all over the place. All right, let's just do it. Let's go in with like lights. I could do a star at the top, but I don't think I have room. And it's okay. It's just gonna be subtle. These could be balls. It could be lights. Could be reflections from the stars. Doesn't really matter. Liking that actually. I don't know, I might stop there. Just call it good. I don't feel like making it all dressed up in red and green. I think this is going to be good enough. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, that was probably over the top. That's all right. We're done. I feel like I should put like a bow on it, but that'll make it really cheesy. So I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, I actually really like it. Okay, this one needs more contrast. I think I have to go darker with the background. So this is a negative space moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get out that dark blue again. Bring it over here. Add a little bit of this dark black color. More blue. So it really is blue. Maybe even a little more blue. I gotta refill. I'm running low on paint. All right, that's a lot of paint. That's okay. I'm gonna just dab it there so it's not crazy. All right, let's see what this looks like. You're gonna see this before I do. A little more water. There you go. All right, so I just want that bouquet to really pop. I don't know if that's working, but we're gonna try. Sometimes you just gotta get your vision all the way to the end. All right, so let's go around the flowers. I think that's working actually. Let's try. It's actually cool. All right, let's do this. All right, that was a little too heavy-handed. We'll come back over that with some more of the flowers or the greens. This is cool. I think it's working. I don't know, it'll be interesting to watch it back on the replay. See if it looks terrible. Looks interesting from my side, but what do I know? Okay, I think that worked. Really ratcheting up the value contrast can yield very interesting results. So even though that brown was theoretically dark, it was not dark enough. At least not dark enough for what I was looking for. Done. One more. Down here. Let's get rid of some of that pink. I'm not really that into the pink. Hang on. Okay, girl. There we go. All right, this is looking better. This is looking better. Okay. Okay, this wraps up my little holiday session today. That is, oh, look at that. That's so luscious. I'm sorry, I love it. I love it. I love this spread. I'm addicted to doing spreads like this. Look at that. It's just fantastic. No, I love it. It gives me joy. I want a whole book just like this. I'm going to keep going. Okay. And then we made these little cards, which will not sit in a book. They will be sent to my friends and family. I've got my little pattern that I love to do, these little repetitive motion things using the shape of the brush and different thicknesses of paint. Then we've got this one, which is honestly still a little wet because I went back in with a little bit of that more vibrant kind of, it might be naphthalene red, might be flame red. Anyway, I just added to the flowers to add even more visual contrast. And I like the way this one turned out. It's a little holiday bouquet. Why not? Look at that. Okay. And then this is the last one, a very sweet little holiday tree. And I was going to go in with some more like overt Christmassy things, and I decided I liked it just the way it was. So this is the way it is staying. So that is my story. Welcome to the holidays. December 2. I'm only a day late with this video. I'm going to refill this. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.